They were very unusual. So I lived up on a steep hill in Orange County. So you would go up it and it was really steep. It turned and then it would go up some more. And Jodell, she would put her son on the hood of the car. And at the time they had a Honda Accord, was like a station wagon. And she would put him on the hood of the car and she would drive up the hill because she thought it was fun. And her husband, we'll call him Simon, he would do the same thing. And I would be like in front of my house and here comes like their son on the hood of the car, like a hood ornament, like a Mercedes Benz, those things. And they're doing like maybe 15, 20 miles an hour. So if they hit the brakes, the kid's going to go flying. And she's a substitute teacher. And I'm like, oh, everyone on the street was like, this is crazy. But we were so used to Jodell's antics that this was nothing. Okay, hello and good afternoon, everyone. It is your friend Desert Geno. And I apologize about my voice today. It's been really windy up here, and it's been blowing like a lot of dust. So I was outside earlier today, and it kind of affected my voice. But anyway, today I guess you can say we're going on an adventure, maybe. As a Las Vegas local, it's not really an adventure so much. But I'm heading over to downtown Las Vegas, and it's a really cool spot to visit. I like Fremont Street, highly recommend it. But I thought, it would be interesting to do a video kind of from a local perspective, like driving over there. And I said, okay, well, I'll do that. And here I am. So that's the adventure. So I'm going to turn it over. That way you can see what I am seeing as we make our way to downtown Las Vegas. Okay, so right now we are driving. There is the Las Vegas Strip out in the distance. You can see the buildings or the casinos. Yeah. And it's a really nice day, but the one thing about Summerlin West is that it is always very windy. Seems to be, but this is the windy time of year. Yeah, I'm drinking some water. I'm gonna just go around this guy east. I have to be in this lane anyway, so I might as well, But another thing I like about living in Summerlin is how well landscaped the city keeps everything, the green belts, and it's just really clean up here. I wasn't anticipating on doing this, but my Wednesday had changed a little bit. I had some plans. Oh, actually, no, I don't need to be in this lane. I need to be in the other one. See, I'm used to going south on the Bruce Woodbury, the 215. So I'm always in this lane right here. So yes, I goofed everybody. I made a mistake. I need to be in the lane right over there where that white Tesla is. So, oops. But, yeah, it was late night. I had some work I had to conduct, and it's over and done with. And this morning, as mentioned, I was doing some yard work, and right now I'm in the process of growing a side yard. My courtyard, it's off to a great start, and I have a lot of video on it. It's live stream video. Right now I'm just kind of freehanding it in my car, waiting on this red light. And then I gotta move on over that way. Oh, here we go. All right. So I'm moving over. I'm gonna squeeze in. Squeeze. There we go. Yeah, I forgot. See, I take Summerlin Parkway. and they're doing work right now here. Oh, oops. There goes Metro. They don't need to see anything going on. Yeah, it was a woman cop. Not that that matters, but I just noticed. And there is the strip right out there. Oh, of course the U-Haul gets in the shot. But that's fine. We're going on the freeway now. And it's weird. They have this all messed up with the cones and jumping over a lane, and they're shutting this down on Friday. I think Friday. So then we're taking Summerlin Parkway east. That's right, everyone. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Come on. This guy in his trailer needs to hurry up. He's just cruising. He's gonna go east, I have a feeling. He needs to go faster. He's just going like, I don't know what he is pulling a trailer, but he can do at least 55. Oh, okay, good. There we go. He's going north. Yeah. So, there is North Las Vegas, everyone, and Las Vegas. The strip over there. Alright, so we're coming up to Anasazi. Gonna move over. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I need to speed up too. There we go. Yeah. So, anyway, this is Summerlin Parkway. It's gonna merge with, I think, the 95. We'll find that out in a minute. But anyway, I wanted to do some chats with everyone. You know, share a little bit about myself. And of course, I choose the day to start doing this when I'm, having a raspy kind of voice. Oh, this guy, he's really coming up on me quick. So I thought about some stories to tell people. And what comes to mind is this. So I'm originally from Southern California, Orange County to be specific, if you're familiar with that. And I have spent every year of my life in the desert. And you're going to go, well, how is that desert, Geno? Well, even though Orange County isn't in the desert, my grandparents, they lived out in the Palm Springs area. So I would go out there for Easter, summer vacation, winter break, and I fell in love with the desert out there. And it's a different desert. It's not the Mojave. It's the Sonoran, but it's in a subcategory called the Colorado Desert. So that's the Palm Springs area, Colorado River Valley. So cities like Lake Havasu City, for instance, that's the Colorado Desert. Parker, Arizona, just for some examples. So, I grew up experiencing the desert, and always in the summer years, it was amazing. It was wow, it's 118 degrees here in the Palm Springs area, and it was just crazy weather. Here it's 73 here in Las Vegas, and it's May. But so I'm going to kind of transition back to Orange County, all right? So when I was in Orange County growing up, I had a neighbor, and I'm going to just outright say her name, Jodell, all right? If you have a neighbor, Joedell, she is interesting, okay? You don't hear that name that often. And this woman, she was just something else. And I remember I was a young kid, let's just say 8. I was 8 years old, for instance. And her son, we'll call him C, all right? not going to throw out his name, but I'm going to throw out Jodell's name definitely, because the name adds to just how she is. So anyway, Joedell, and she's a substitute teacher, keep in mind, as well. So she would teach at our local elementary schools, and she was a sub. So anyway, Joedell and C, her son, they were very unusual. So I lived up on a steep hill in Orange County. So you would go up it, and it was really steep. It turned, and then it would go up some more. And Joedell, she would put her son on the hood of the car. And at the time they had a Honda Accord, was like a station wagon. And she would put him on the hood of the car, and she would drive up the hill because she thought it was fun. And her husband, we'll call him Simon, he would do the same thing. And I would be like in front of my house, and here comes like their son on the hood of the car, like a hood ornament, like a Mercedes-Benz, those things. And they're doing like maybe 15, 20 miles an hour. So if they hit the brakes, the kid's going to go flying. And she's a substitute teacher. And I'm like, everyone on the street was like, this is crazy. But we were so used to Jodell's antics that this was nothing. So she would take myself and her son bowling on Friday nights. And keep in mind, we were in like early elementary school. All right. And at the time they had like a Ford Explorer. It was like a little box one, like late 90s, or maybe early 2000s. But anyway, it was late 90s, early 2000s. And on the way back from the bowling alley, we would sit back there, and kids, they have to be in a seatbelt. But no, she thought this was fun. So she would put us back there, and when we would go up the hill back to our house where we lived on the same street, she would like floor it and then like go side to side and have us go flying back and forth in the back of the Ford Explorer. And she thought that was fun. And she was nuts. So anyway, we're gonna fast forward some years. And this woman, she is lazy, very lazy. And she did something, I don't know what, but she was not allowed to be a teacher anymore, or the schools anywhere. So, and she wouldn't speak about it, but I don't know. So but there's a lot of speculation, and I have a story on that, but I don't want it to be mean. Just funny. So anyway, she's lazy. And she has these 2 dogs, all right? And for people who, I have a dog, we love our pets, and we lived in the hills, and the coyotes are out all the time. It's when you live in the foothills in, Southern California, they roam, and there's mountain lions as well. But anyway, she would always lock her dog, her and her husband and her kid, they would always lock the dogs out front and like forget about it. It's like, how do you forget about your dog if they live in the house and they're not there? Like something's up. And they would be out front for hours, like 1, 2, 3, like sometimes 7 hours, and they're in the house, and they're so absent-minded. And I'm going to work. It's early in the morning, and here's her dogs at the bottom of our hill, just not on a leash, of course, nothing. And I'm like, this is crazy. And they never got eaten by coyotes. So, that's good. I wouldn't want to see anything bad happen, but like the statistics on that is crazy. Like every day for like at least 11 years. So, they really had luck on their side. But anyway, they would lock their dogs out. But Joedell, whenever they were up in the morning and they wanted to walk the dogs, she would drive the dogs to the bottom of our hill, drop it out of her minivan, and then slowly drive up. And the dog would chase thinking it's being left. And I thought that was abusive mentally. I'm like, that's just so wrong. Every time the dog thinks it's getting abandoned, but after a while it got used to it and it didn't run anymore. It knew what the program was. So the year was like 2017, all right, everyone? And I knew something was going on. I thought something was suspicious because Jodell, she has 2 dogs, but all of a sudden, I see another dog, and all of a sudden there's like all these dogs at her house, and I'm like, she's doing a dog business. I have a thing, and that's illegal. We lived in an HOA. You can't do that. And one day, all right, we had our car wash guy. I always wash my car, but at the time, I was at my parents', and my dad, he had his car wash detailer out there, and he comes in, he tells my dad, like, yeah, there's like a dog like wandering on the street. And my dad's like, well, just call the number and like, tell the owner. So the car wash guy does that, and the man who answered, he's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused right now. I'm trying to, yeah, there we go. I shouldn't get confused. It's not that hard. I'm just turning off. But anyway, so the car wash detailer, he calls the phone number listed on the dog tag, and he goes, hey, I'm on X Street, and I see your dog, and I have it in my possession. And the person on the other end erupts. He goes, yeah, there's this woman on X Street, and she's supposed to be watching my dog. Her name is Jodell. And the guy's like, well, all the garage doors are down, and nobody's out here, and your dog is just wandering. Well, next thing you know, her husband, we'll call him Simon, he comes, storming out. So I'm just kind of building up to something. So Jodell, she has all these dogs in the back of her minivan, and we made it to downtown Vegas, and I'm wrapping up the story. All of them in her minivan, okay? And we're talking like a big dog, small dogs, all of that. Well, Jodell, she's so absent-minded, and she drives a Toyota Sienna, right? And she has at least like 13, 14 dogs in the back of her minivan, and she forgot to put the hatch down, okay? And so she's driving out of our cul-de-sac, and she stops in the street, and I'm like, okay, she realized it because she's looking, and she's like, okay, oh, there's Metro, hold on, whoa. Okay, and she realizes, like, she left the hatch open. No, that doesn't happen. And then she makes a turn, and a dog falls out, and I'm like, oh, no. And then a couple more dogs start falling out, and she starts driving down the street with the back hatch open, and how she doesn't know this, and I'm screaming, Jodell, what are you doing? Jesus. So, yeah, that's some Jodell stories for you. But I have like 20 years worth of Jodell stories to tell you. So, it's just a little taste. But we made it here really quickly. So that kind of gives you an idea. You can be up in Summerlin West, and you can be here like really quickly. Downtown Vegas, everyone. But we're going to hit the Strip. We're going to do that. We're going to go down the Las Vegas Strip. But I was thinking to myself, oh, there's Metro. I think, yep. Yeah, that's Metro. I was thinking to myself, like, what am I going to talk about, on the drive? There's Las Vegas stuff. Yeah, sure, I can talk about desert stuff. But I want to talk about myself. And I don't mean to be selfish, but I want to kind of share some of these stories because maybe you have a Jodell in your neighborhood. I hope you don't. But if you do, I'm sure, like, you have a lot of stories you can tell. But that's kind of why I want to tell about myself, because these stories are just kind of out there, they're bizarre. And when I worked in this one office for some time, my coworkers, they always wanted to hear my Jodell stories. They're like, oh, what is she up to, this time? And here's another one, all right? So I'm just getting back from school, and I'm probably like 11, maybe 10, 11, we'll say. And here's Jodell, and she's like, Geno. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, come over here right now. And she would just demand it. And I always thought to myself, like, as a kid, who the hell are you? But I did, because she was an elder, and I have to show respect. And I know her. I've known her, like, since day one, fortunately. And my dad used to call her husband the block captain. And I'll get into that too, because everyone thought he was the block captain as well. Oh my God. He's one of those guys who's always up in your business, when you're just trying to mind your own. And he was weird too, really weird. They were all really weird, like really, really weird. So anyway, after school, she demands that I come over, and she's like, she just pulls my shoe off my foot. Like, all of a sudden, she just grabs my leg, grabs my shoe, pulls it off, and she's like, I need to know what shoe size you are. And I'm like, what the? And so I grabbed my shoe, and I went into the house, and I told my dad, and he came out, and he was pissed off. He's like, what the hell, Jodell? And my dad owned his own business, right? So this was like early 2000s. And in business, even still to this day, a lot of companies, they use fax. So my dad had a fax machine, and he was on the phone a lot for business. And every house in my neighborhood would have a courtyard, so you could walk up, but you can't get into, up to somebody's front door. So Joedell would just be hollering as loud as she could, yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo, for my dad. And my dad he kind of nicknamed her Yoo-hoo for a while. Oh, wow, this road is closed. Okay, that's fine. But she would just be screaming, and he would be on the phone conducting business, and he's like, I'm on the phone, and she's like, I need to use your fax machine right now. And he's like, my God. And this would go on all the time with Jodell. And she was just weird, and I'm getting a little lost, everyone. We're in the Arts District. Well, here we get to see the Arts District. I'll start narrating about this instead of Jodell. Maybe you don't like the Jodell stories. I don't know. I'm just thinking, what's interesting? What's unusual for everybody? Yeah, they're building something. Apartments. Oh, you can see the stratosphere right here. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, my street was something else. Okay, here's another. Okay. I have so many stories that are popping in my mind right now. For instance, the cul-de-sac I lived on. We have Jodell. I introduced you to her. All right, so you have an idea. We also had another character. We'll call her M. All right? M. And she was beyond something else. She worked for Hoke Hospital. And this is like one of the most elite hospitals you can work at in Orange County. It's in Newport Beach. Views of the bay, or the harbor. And just a really nice hospital to be in if you have to be in one. But anyway, M, she worked in the OR, all right, and she was a full-blown alcoholic. So she would drink a few bottles of wine every day, and she would get back at like 3 p.m. She'd be just hitting the bottle really heavily. And then she'd kind of pass out around 6. Wake up in the morning, and she'd brag, yeah, I have an oxygen tank. I'd hit that, and then I'm off to the OR. And I'm like, my God, this is scary. This is scary. Like, if this is what goes on with some of the staff, do I really feel safe, having them operate on me? That's a question that I think a lot would consider. So, anyway, yeah, that's another neighbor. Another one, let's see, I'm trying to think of like the weird ones that come to mind. really, that was about it. There wasn't really anyone that was too crazy. That's about it. But having those two for neighbors was just a handful. And I made a mistake, so I'm going back this way. Actually, let's check out this way. Because I kind of like downtown a little bit. I was going to go over to the Strip, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to add more to this or not. You know, we're here. I think this might just be a video in itself. Driving to downtown Las Vegas, getting lost, sharing some stories with you. Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I'm going to cut it on this one. I'm going to do a live stream. And if you happen to catch that, I hope you do, because this is going to come after the live stream. I've just been freehanding it. So we shall see. All right, here we go.